Namaste, Neeraj. It's great to have you
Namaste.
here today for
Same here.
this amazing conversation and topic on communication skills and what men require to improve and use the information that will help them in all their relationships going forward.
Hmm.
So, quickly beginning with our first question and something like introduction. So
Hmm.
here it is.
So
Tell us.
basically, yeah.
Yeah.
So when I started out, I won't call it just a communication because it kind of shrink the whole approach. What I am trying to do is to make people uh, to have very strong vocal presence. For example, when you go out for a meeting, right? What do? You dress up nicely. For example, prior to this meeting, you came, you dress up nicely, you're taking care of your hair, uh, your dress. But do you ever think about your vocal presence, a vocal image, whatever you want to use, pick and choose and use it? So that's if it is not less or more, it's equally important. So when you go out, or even if you're talking to somebody in your domain, in your house, still you
Could you
need the
come a
little bit,
little louder? Uh,
yeah.
yeah, a bit louder.
So I'm saying communication could be a very shorter thing. What I'm trying to do, I'm trying to create people be aware about something called vocal presence or vocal image. Like, for example, when we go out or even for any meeting, even we go for a Zoom meeting, what we do? We dress up nicely, we take care of our hair, we take care of everything which we need to do it.
Yeah.
But we don't think about our vocal presence or vocal image, whatever the word you want to pick and choose. And it's if it is not less or if it is not more, it is equally important.
Yes.
So first thing we need to understand that when we're going out for anything, out when I'm saying out, that's why I took a pause. Out from your own. In fact, there's something called intrapersonal skill also,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm going to talk later. But right now, even if you're going
Yes.
out to talk to somebody, okay, not in a physical sense, but even for example, I'm talking to you, you must have prepared yourself. Yeah, some kind of dressing, the hair, you must have thought about it, what I need to wear, what I need not to wear.
Right.
But we don't think about our vocal image, which I think is very important. So that's what the premises of mine to start. Now, when you say vocal, I want to mention it's
And just before that,
yeah.
a little introduction about you, your journey, your life, and the business ventures that you have been heading so far.
So basically, I've been working toward uh, I won't say business, but something which I really enjoy doing it for a very long time, and that's what I've been doing it. And I felt I don't know. This is a paradoxical, but that's true for most of the people that what you are weak at, you try to work towards it. It's like if your left hand is a weak, you try to push your right hand more strongly, right? So my the ecosystem or the atmosphere I was living, I always felt that there's a lack of vocal image.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lack of vocal presence. People don't know. People assume that they didn't know how to talk. They assume that they are communicating because
Mm-hmm.
mostly since yesterday was yoga day, there's a beautiful term in yoga called Vani Vilas. I'm infusing a Sanskrit word. So when you talk, mostly you are so um, hypnotized with your talking that you don't even bother about that you need to talk to somebody because when you're talking, what is the purpose of talking? To communicate, right? It means what? To break it down means you have to make your message to go across and you have to also so basically if I break it down you want to understand other and you want to be understood so understand understood something so I felt a deep sense of anguish anger um, Anger not on anybody, but anger on the approach toward the communication. So overtly or covertly, I decided to find those tools and technique which can help me to be better at this. I wouldn't say it's just the communication part of it. I think listening is a critical part of communication. People don't
Right.
like one of the line which I read and really like it, that people listen in order to respond. They don't listen in order to understand. There's a huge difference. For example, if I'm listening to your
Yes.
question, I'm not listening to understand it. I'm
Right.
listening to respond it. I'm already framing my questions in my mind, and I'm also framing my answers. I'm not looking at your question as a question. Please try to understand. I'm looking at your question as my question, in the sense, not in a compassionate ground, but I'm trying to tweak the question according to my understanding it. So one of the big problem when we read something, we try to impose our ideas on that book.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's
Yeah.
why most of the time it doesn't work, especially in adult training. I'm not saying the kids try to assimilate everything, but when you grow up, you don't listen anybody. You just try to impose your ideas on the listening. It's like having a green glasses or red glasses. You will see exactly what you are being projected to see. Like there is a beautiful line, and these are nuggets which I picked up and which made shaped up my entire career, my life, my work, whatever you can call it. Is this that mind, mind is eyes can ready to see what mind is ready to comprehend. So
Yes.
eyes basically sees what mind is already decided to comprehend it.
Right. Yeah. The readiness is required there. Yes.
No, not readiness. Its readiness is already there.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Actually, no preparation. Like there is one beautiful thing I read, that if you learn to love somebody, you will be incapable of loving somebody. It looks very paradoxical. Like, no, 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 I've learned how to love someone. But as soon as you learn how to love somebody, you will be incapable of loving somebody. Because you're,
Hmm. Quite deep.
excuse me, you're acting out. You've already structured you. These are the flowing thing. For example, I'm talking to you. If I'm too prepared, that also create a problem.
Yes. Spontaneity
So the
is
idea
fun.
is spontaneity is one, and uh, listening with a non-judgment, not without any preconceived notion about it, without being thinking about that, okay, I'm going to say this, I'm going to say that. Because anyway, we all are conditioned in a very broader spectrum. So we are conditioned to listen, we are conditioned to watch, we are conditioned to see. And like, for example, if somebody is a dressmaker, very simple example. So if I'm looking at you, if I'm a dressmaker, I'll pay more attention towards your dress part.
Yeah, because that's your
Somebody, yeah, that
play.
is what I
Yeah.
condition myself. That's where
Interest.
I kind of,
Yes.
yeah, not interest, but I've designed myself into that. So sometimes it defeats the purpose. Maybe if I'm just analyzing your dress, then I need to rectify your dress, then it's all right. But the whole thing happens holistically, or doesn't happen. For example, if you love somebody, how do you love? You don't love on the basis of just the physical part of it. Physical could be a bait, could be a starting point, could be a could be a hook. If I'm not using a word bait, could be a hook. But that's not sustainable because that is not the only thing which you do it. So over a period of time, I picked up different tools and technique in which I made as my career, my work, my and the one of the very
So
good thing happened with
voice,
me that
yeah, so
yeah.
it's the sound
Can
and
you hear me
voice
now?
that you focus more on. And tell us a little about your multilingual services also, so that our viewers could know more about the language courses that you offer.
Okay, so lately I've decided to work on towards making any language as your mother tongue because we have been
Mhm.
presumed or assumed that only mother tongue is so fascinating. I was training one of the guy, I don't want to name him, one of the finest actor ever lived on this earth. He said, what is being written in that particular language is the last. Maybe you can translate it. Maybe you can rewrite it. But if it is written in Marathi, it is written in Sanskrit, it is written in French, it is written in Spanish, it will be the last.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Yes, I as a company we translate, we do voiceover, we do everything related to that. But basically, it is not what true is. You can find the sense of it, but you can never like if you like I'll give you example. Since you speak Marathi now, if you try to translate a thing from Marathi to say other language, you may get the information, but you will not get the taste of it.
Right. There's a lot
It's
of
like
depth
it's
in
like
your work
yes,
with
depth
every
and
language.
there is a cultural infusion. There are emotional connection to it. There's so many things. That's why in our, if you remember, in our spirituality, there was always Shruti Smriti. There was nothing called writing.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So Shruti and Smriti means you have to listen and you have to repeat, recite. There's no way out. You could even in Islam also to some extent that was a situation where you want to recite the whole thing.
Hmm. The voice
So
factor,
yeah,
sound
the
factor.
voice factor and yeah, yes, swar, which we call it.
Swar. Swar
Sound
has more
is
to
a
do
little
with breathing, right? It has to do with
yeah, that's what
voice
I'm
as
saying. So
well.
it's a sound. It's yeah, it's a musicality of it.
Okay.
So you don't understand just the word, but you understand the whole swar.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So that made me to start this company called the Neeraj. I was teaching in college for a while, and now we deal with
Nice.
160 languages in terms of translation, voiceover, dubbing, and training. And I offer
How many
courses. Yes,
languages? Could you come again, please?
160 languages.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Amazing.
we do the translation, voiceover, dubbing, training, everything related to these languages.
Oh, that is so beautiful. Like I haven't come across until I happen to contact you, like to know about so much can be done just with our sound and our voice. So that's very, very unique. The
Yeah,
work that you're
because
doing.
see, human being, human or any being, any animals, we are not just the body, we are not just the mind, we are not just spirit. People think mind, body, and spirit. I say something else. I add another dimension, which is the swar, a sound. So it is my own discovery that I understood that the resonance, whatever you can call it. I mean, it's different culture has different connotation to it. But according to my understanding, there is another dimension called sound associated with that, which is nothing to do with your mind, nothing to do with your body, nothing to do with spirit. Is literally means breath. I'm sure if you're aware of it. It's not about soul, which is a little mumbo jumbo. So I normally don't do. I'm more towards employable, doable, workable techniques. So for me, whatever works is, I mean, instead of you are right or I'm right, what works is more important than what doesn't work in life. So swar
Absolutely.
is another dimension to the whole being of a people.
Yeah, in one of my previous interviews, yeah, he Will Caminada from Brazil had mentioned that sound is fifth or sixth or seventh dimension, only sound.
Yeah,
So it was, yeah. So relates so much to what you say. Well,
yeah.
okay.
And
So
since I've discovered this, I don't want to even say it, but I think the sound is a predominant or most important dimension. I mean, again, since I'm promoting it, so it looks like a little bit I'm trying to push my ideas, but basically, if you see earlier, there was Om. That was a sound which, or any sound which has created universe. Even Einstein says that there is a sound which is there's a Big Bang sound, and then something happens after that, and blah blah blah. So according to me, this was a primordial dimension. Now again, since I'm pushing this idea, so people might think, oh, since he's talking about the sound, he has to talk about this. No, but that's not true. What I felt is that sound comes first, then everything follows. Like for example, you must have met, say, handsome man or or may let's not take it a man or women, but even this animal or a sound you buy a bike and you more think about the sound in terms of it. Still, you go for a car and you think about the sound. So that's the way I look at it. Yeah.
nice. quite a different experience I'm having doing this interview.
Thank you
Moving to
so much.
our second question, uh, what what factors you see is lacking in majority of the male masculine collective when it comes to communication skills, communication oratory skills? Uh, Also, what qualities should a man embody to become a conscious, loving, protector masculine?
See, the whole problem we have understood that when we talk about communication, we think about, as I told you, it's one of the tool called self-grandizement,
Mhm.
where we are trying to grandize what we are saying it. We're making it so much. Like for example, even I'm talking to you right now, I'm trying to be aware about what I'm talking, and at the same time, I'm also aware about that am I pushing my ideas. So there are, I won't say definite do and don't, but most important thing for men especially, like even you look at and this is not actually by nature, because I, for me the temple is nature. So when I have any problem, I go back to the nature and try to find out. I normally don't go back to the books or literature or theoretical concepts. So if
Right.
you look at the, I think it is more of man-made. Again, it's a very beautiful and proper term, that our pitch has been increased. It has been more more strong, more aggressive. It was not that case. It was not. It is not there in the nature by that sense. There's a vocalization, which is a different kind of vocalization than different species. So this is one of actually vocal presence of man has become more of brutal, more violence. It has a deeper sense of violence, according to my understanding.
Yeah, that war
And
like feeling is converted into some
yeah, war cry is another word which
harshness.
you can use it. Yes, and I've seen it slowly. The women is also like somebody's called me today morning. I've seen the women also following the same trap, because one of the big problem we understood that if I copy a man, I'll be like a man. No, if you copy a man, you'll be always a second. You have to maximize and celebrate your differences. People do not realize it, but we do not have to copy somebody. Yes, I can inspire from somebody. You understand? So slowly,
Yes.
slowly, it what happens that women started following men, and they're trying to do everything. They look like a man, they talk like a man, they stand like a man, and
That's
which actually is
that.
back. Yeah, so
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
it,
go
it
ahead.
took like I totally resonate with what you say, because then I've taken enough time at least for myself to retract and know the feminine side, and that is even more expansive. So I think
Yes,
women especially need to embrace what is already their
their
superpower.
own,
Yeah.
yeah, their own strength. They have to magnify and celebrate their differences.
Yeah.
Because if I become a copy of Amitabh Bachchan or Julia Roberts or somebody, I'm a copy already. In fact, I've decided my journey would not start. In fact, my journey is doomed to start because I've already made somebody as a hero.
Yeah. And
So
somewhere
come
we
back
are
to your
giving away
question.
that originality of our own
Yes,
heart.
yes.
Yeah.
So
And
I
what
think one that,
Yeah,
yeah, go
like,
ahead.
and when it comes to the men's communication skills, I think it's just like only if you're in the corporate world somewhere it's getting groomed a little. But other than that, I think there's very less focus on how men need to really conduct their communication to people. It's not just about men
See,
or
it's
women,
like
it's about an individual
it's
man just articulating things in a very good way.
no, it's like a poor analogy I'm trying to use it. But look at it driving, for example. Okay, now we have assumed, and even the girls assumed, and the men assumed, everybody assumed that the girls are a poor driver. Anybody can be a good driver. Anybody can be a bad driver. It's nothing to do with the gender. Okay, it depends on the kind of expertise, exposure, what you got through. Okay, so the problem with the communication that first we, as I told in the beginning of my discussion, I was telling you that we assume that we know the communication. Especially men, they think they know it by default. They never question. See, one of the very important thing I think we all have to do is to That's why I'm a little bit away from religiosity and those spirituality, because they give you everything ready made. So we make it assumption created is okay. No, no, no. I know everything. Okay.
It's
So the
limiting.
one very big problem, yeah. So basic problem when you communicate, you come from a background saying, I know it. I know how to do. Don't tell me how to. Don't teach me how to do it. That's a one of the line. It's a subtext may not be told by mellow down guys, but then mostly they say, I know what I'm talking. So one very important thing, I think everybody from, I don't want to say just the man, but everybody has to question about what we are doing, how we are doing it. Second, to preserve the masculinity, to my mind, in terms of communication, I find that we have to listen more. I think listening is one of the uh, biggest impediment in the communication. We don't listen
Mm-hmm.
because if you look at the whole therapist job is what? This is a listening job. They don't do much. If you go to any therapy session, you'll find they're a very patient listener. But you can say, okay, they're being paid and the other person is not paid, and I don't know. But actually, what you want to achieve through communication? You want to achieve through communication is a connection.
Mm-hmm.
A basic
Yes.
tenet of is to create a connect with the people.
Feeling understood.
Or
It's
let's say,
again that, yeah.
yeah, connection will take care of everything. Your feeling, your understanding, your deeper bonding. Like even with the men or with the dog or with the cat, also, what do you need to do? You need to be careful. You have to listen. And listening, when I'm saying, it's not just the ear listening. It's just your whole presence has to be listening mode. So I think that is what they have to do.
Quite interesting. Nice. So, going to our next question. What are the ways and processes or any courses you know are available for men to rise up in their true masculinity? And in what ways can we have more conscious masculine role models for future generations, for the coming generations?
So first, very important thing people do have to realize. I think slowly they are realizing
Mhm.
in a very wrong way. But I'm just giving you a secret because I try to give the example from contemporary world, what's going on around us. So if you look at slowly, people are not talking; they're texting each other. The talk is getting less and less, and more text is coming up. If you see why it is so,
Yeah,
did you feel it that especially the young
absolutely,
generation today? Yeah, they
absolutely.
don't. I mean,
I was the
when
one who
there's
used
some.
to call the most, and now somewhere I felt that, okay, just forget it, be with yourself has become the thing. But I totally agree that the calls and all have reduced, and now somewhere even I got influenced, just sticking to the text part. But now again, I have to change it. So you're true with that
So
observation.
this happened for a very wrong reason. This sometimes see the things happens because of reaction towards something. Okay, so reaction doesn't work. I'll give you a very classical example. This is one of the very politically incorrect statement. I make a lot of politically incorrect statements. So one of
which
the
is
statement I make.
which is universally right, probably.
Yeah. So one of the statement that I've seen that, for example, if I don't want to assume our country, but let's say any country fighting for so-called freedom, right? But they have not decided what they're going to do once they get that freedom. Even in the individual cases also, we say, I want to get out of the relationship. I'm not saying you have to be in relationship. I'm not saying that. I'm simply saying when you say you want to replace something with something, you have to have a plan. So there is a friend of mine I was talking to. She's a big genius person according to my understanding. I said, no, the first is our intention is to get out of that situation, and then we'll figure out what we need to do. But according to me, this is again a very wrong approach, because see, replacing something with something is a knee-jerk reaction, and humanity is very much famous for knee-jerk reaction. For example, earlier we had um, paper bags. who said, "Oh, paper bags is not good enough. It's very bad. So let's invent something called plastics." And plastic came. Oh, I also remember because I come from very humble background, so I've seen that paper bag mixed with say rice and sugar, they mix together, then they find plastics, and plastics are more durable. But then we started taking plastic in the tea, and we started doing, and today plastic has become big menace.
Hmm. Yeah.
And now today you say, oh no, 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 we don't need plastic, let's go back to the paper. So then what is exercise of entire approach? I did not understand why we have done that much. Okay,
It's again
so to
short
come
term
back to,
thinking, right?
yes, and that's what I term I use called knee jerk reaction. So basically, what is very important that people do have to realize, and I don't know when they can realize and they cannot realize, that there is nothing called quick fix remedy for anything. One very important thing everybody has to do, or should do, or must do, I don't know how they have to do it, but is to make sure what, see, we all are unique, okay? But look at so paradoxical statement, we all are unique. So we made all are unique as a equal. Like one of the
Hmm.
big problems the men and women conflict, according to my understanding, that we understood we are equal. Yes, we are equal, but we are not identical.
Hmm.
No, I don't know. People do
Well
not
put.
understand. So yeah, so people say, oh, the men can be a bare chest, so women can also be a bare chest. No, we are not identical. We are equal. Yes, it's a two different kind of concepts.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like two species are just unique in their own way.
Yeah, but then when we say unique, in own way is a very important word. People forget about. They say we are unique. So actually, we are saying we are equal. We are same.
Yeah. Very well
So
brought
that's
out.
one of the problems. Yeah, so people do not realize most of the time, even the conflict happen with the men and women. They say equality.
Hmm. Hmm.
So what is equality means? Equality means identical. So what you are doing, I will also do. And then by doing what you're doing it, I will be equal to you. That's what they're thinking. But that's not true. That is not the way it has been made.
Correct.
Same way for communication, when we want to communicate with, we have to find our, see, the whole problem today that we want everything ready made. I call it Bada Paw syndrome. Since I live in Mumbai, I call it Bada Paw syndrome because we want everything ready made. We want, okay, somebody can come and give it to me. Either it's coming from a book or coming from a teacher or a trainer or a coach, whoever it is. In fact, when I teach, I don't teach anything. I teach only tools and techniques. In fact, when we started out two different companies, I always felt that I would only give tools and techniques. Now you have to use and experiment that tools and technique according to your understanding and adopt it the way you want to use it. Like for example, if you want to, somebody wants to lose a weight, what he has to do? She can run, she can walk, she can do yoga, she can take care of the food, she can take the staircase, she can be away from stress, she can sleep. So there are ways to do it.
Right.
So the whole idea is about communication when we say that
Uh,
we need to understand. Yeah,
yeah, just in case this link expires, I'll share another one. We can
yeah, yeah, no worries.
continue our conversation. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, what I'm trying to tell you that first we need to identify what we are as
Yes.
a
And what
being, not as a person.
suits,
Okay.
yeah, I think what
Yeah.
suits an
Not.
individual, yes, we should go for that.
Yeah. For example, there is a term I was reading since I train accent and dialects. So I was reading there's something called adequacy. That means it's an individual accent is also there. Everybody has a very unique individual accent. We're not machines. Like there are, I don't want to name, but there is a Baba and he says, okay, compare yourself with the phone. No, we are not phone, yeah. I mean, compare yourself with the best machine. We are not machine, yeah. I mean, what nonsense?
Thank God
Why
you
you
said it.
comparing pears and, yeah, what are you comparing pears and apples together? I don't understand. Like, I
Somewhere
mean,
in
one
this
of the way,
technological advancement, we have just, I think it's thanks to technological advancement, we are now finally realizing our own special gifts and what is
one, but the
beautiful
most
about
important thing that,
people. Yeah.
See, there's something I read very beautifully. I really like for example, it was for money. It can be for technical thing. That money can be a very good servant, but terrible master. So that's what the thing you need to understand. So machines is very good servant. It can help you out, but don't make machine as your master. It has utility, but it is not what you are. So first very important thing I think everybody has to do is to think about intuitively. Again, I'm not saying it has to come from outside, but intuitively to find out what works for them. Like yesterday or day before yesterday, I had a jamming session at my place. A lot of people come to my place and we talk about these things. So, for
Mhm.
example, somebody says there has to be a grammar or there has to be a system to follow. Grammar, not the English grammar or Hindi grammar, but it's like you have to have a rules. Yes, but there has to be always an individual will to do it.
Yeah.
So one approach is that people trying to find out is very easy to make it robotic. So if you look at we are going towards the machine, since AI would come eventually, our voice would be also replaced, and then maybe our face is also going to be replaced. Maybe
So
everything is going to be replaced.
it's already here.
Yeah, yeah,
It's not coming, it's already here. It's just that
yeah,
now people are coming into realization, okay, what we created collectively.
correct.
Yeah.
And you cannot stop it. So idea is that ultimately what's going to happen, our individuality are going to be killed. That is what's going to happen. But whatever the time period, according to my understanding, if I'm going to live another say 20 years, I'll make sure I'll live with my individuality, with my own way of doing it.
Yeah.
So in spirituality, we
Appreciate
say
that.
Jete mat te to path. It means whatever, as many as people are there are so many paths.
Hmm.
That was the answer. Yeah.
Excellent. So we'll be continuing this conversation in the next slot.
Yeah. Sure, sure.